John Batchelor, Mary Kissel, the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal, and host of Opinion Journal each day at WSJ.com, is also a resident of New York and travels the subways and the buses, as I do, as our colleague Ed Hayes, consigliere, does as well. And we have been talking carefully about Police Commissioner Bratton, and he is the new boss of a very large, effective NYPD. And at City Hall, we have a new mayor who is a different direction from what we've grown used to under Mr. Bloomberg and before him under Mr. Giuliani. And the different direction seems to be
squishy.
Yeah, we're not sure. And that's why immediately after you appeared with us the last time, Eddie, and we all worried together about squeegee men, which is a distant word from the past. You know, Oxford could catch up with that word and put it back in again.
Should put it online.
That's right. An article in the New York Post, which we all follow very carefully because it is a paper that pays attention to those of us who worry about the streets, immediately said the squeegee men are back. Eddie, tell the United States of America that doesn't live here what that means to all of us New Yorkers.
Squeegee men are people that get usually in an area where a large number of cars pass, going across the Triborough Bridge, going across the 42nd Street, and they stand there with squeegees, which are kind of car cleaning, window cleaning devices, and they harass you. If you don't let them wash your window, they yell at you and abuse you, and if you do let them wash their window, then they want money from you. So, I'll never forget when Bratton, the last time I was police commissioner, we went out to dinner, and I told them that my wife gets on the Triborough on 96th Street, and how upset I was that the squeegee men would harass her. And Bratton looked at me and said, Eddie, they won't be there tomorrow. And tomorrow they weren't there, and now they're back.
And Eddie, why are they back?
They're back because de Blasio, because they are predominant, they're overwhelmingly, almost exclusively African American. And Sharpton calls up de Blasio and says, we don't want to do this.
That's Al Sharpton, the Rainbow Coalition head.
It's disgraceful. I mean, the whole state, I mean, Cuomo is not part of it, but you know, the Attorney General, de Blasio, that's all the left end of the Democratic Party. And they're all so conscious of what somebody like Sharpton says. I mean, I think that the future of this is very grim. I hate it. I mean, to be harassed walking down the street, that my daughter or my wife harassed, it's just terrible.
So you're saying, Eddie, that it's not just the squeegee men, that it goes beyond that?
Oh, sure it is. You have people sleeping on the street. You have people panhandling in an aggressive way on the subways, things that you haven't had in, 10 years. More than 15 years.
Not everyone has ridden the IRT local or express, the 2 or 3 trains. So I remind everyone that you can fill this car with about 80 people in rush hour. In periods of traffic during the middle of the afternoon or in the evening, people are sitting down, people are standing, and one aggressive person coming into the car can stop conversations and change the temperament of everyone on the station, everyone in the train. It makes you alert, but it also makes you
nervous.
Yes.
And uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and the other thing is they come on, they abuse people if they don't give them money, they scream, they act in a bizarre way. You're very crowded in the subway. It's very upsetting.
Eddie, where are the cops?
Where are the transit police? There were lots of transit police during Giuliani, and there were lots of transit police. My memory is that early Bloomberg had lots of transit police. Late Bloomberg, the last term, I wasn't sure. Now, what are they doing, Ed, if not to ride the IRT local?
I really
there's trouble.
Don't know about that policy, but you never see them anymore in the subways. I don't know. I mean,
Eddie, I've seen them on the subways, and they don't do anything. They just stand there.
The other thing is you have kids on the subway. You have people that have disabilities, and when you have these kinds of things, they get upset as well. They could. It ruins their whole day. I think it's disgraceful. I really do. I think it was disgraceful to have Sharpton at the table with the mayor and the police commissioner.
Why is that guy elevated, Eddie?
I haven't the vaguest idea. He doesn't have a church.
Well, he's on television. That's a good reason.
I'm on television. You're on television.
And Mary, we pay attention to what you say. You just don't happen to be advocating hostile policies.
I'm not sitting at the table with the mayor and the police commissioner.
It's early in your career, Mary.
Please.
We're working on it.
Eddie, why doesn't Bratton stand up and say something?
Well, he's the police commissioner. He's a disciplined man. What do you expect him to say?
And because of the politics of it, Mary and I have watched the politics of Bratton very carefully, Ed. You've known him for a long time. You know him as a friend and as a client. That is not a reluctant person. That's a man who takes control and confronts trouble. right?
Right.
It's not happening. Something is explaining this.
Well, we're not at a point yet where I think that that's necessary. The question is, when we reach the point where Sharpton can make policy, can call up the mayor or call up the police commissioner and say, I think you should do this, and that makes for a change in policy, then I think that Bratton is in a very difficult position.
Eddie, something I don't understand. Bill de Blasio, he's been in public life for a long time. Now he's mayor of New York. These realities are not hidden. It's apparent to anybody who's walking the streets or is on the subway. So why doesn't he change tack? Why doesn't he say to Bratton, keep the city safe?
Well, because he needs somebody to say that. I mean, God knows nobody's going to believe he wants to keep the city safe. You know what I mean? So I think that in order to have a relationship with a large segment of the city's population, he's going to have to say that. Remember, the city's police department is very, very, very heavily Hispanic now.
Right. It reflects
the city.
Yes, right. Unlike some other police departments being criticized right now nationally
that are not
for having a force that is discontinuous with where the force works. That is not the truth with the NYPD.
No,
they've been very careful to recruit from all parts of New York.
A lot of these Hispanic people, they have a cousin, they have a friend whose kid is a cop or them a cop. They don't want to hear about this. They want to have police protection. You have a lot of immigrants that come in here. They work like crazy. Very high percentage of the city is foreign born. They were born.
But that's just it. That's just it, Eddie. Who does Al Sharpton represent?
God,
because the poor neighborhoods want the cops there. They want to be safe.
Well, if you remember, many years ago, Al Sharpton concocted a case against this poor assistant district attorney in upstate New York named Steve Pagonis. He was a client of mine. Totally concocted it that they had sexually assaulted, I think, somebody named Tawana Brawley.
Right.
Totally a lie. They got a libel judgment against him. It took him forever to collect this. Some friends of his paid it for him. He's been taped dealing with mafia figures with the implication he was involved in the drug trade. It's beyond me how he has earned the respect of anybody in this city.
Ed Hayes, my consigliere, an attorney working in New York, and our Democrat. Ed, we're talking to a man from the Democratic Reform Movement of New York for decades, and he's not going to change. So we're not looking at partisan politics here. New York is a Democratic town, which is why Andrew Cuomo's in Israel in an attack tunnel for Hamas right now, because he's campaigning for governor. We had to mention that. We saw you, Governor. You look very good listening to the IDF. That's good advice. Mary Kissel, the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal. I'm John Batchelor.